Hey everybody, and welcome to Shark Jump Inc. I'm Corey,
I'm Caleb.
And I'm Shelby.
and we just saw Justice League. So, as most everybody knows, Justice League is DC's answer to Marvel's Avengers.
And it's one of the most anticipated movies of the year.
It's also their attempt to try and save the franchise as a whole.
Anyway, Justice League brings together Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman to fight the band that sang Born to Be Wild. They learn to set their differences aside and be friends to fight a common enemy. So let's get right into it. What's everybody's general feelings coming out?
Well, my feeling was overall mixed. It had some good moments, it had some bad moments, but overall it was just a bit underwhelming.
I mean, I had similar feelings. I didn't really think it was underwhelming. I thought it was entertaining, but it was definitely flawed. Like, I definitely had more positive feelings about the movie than I did negative.
Yeah, I agree. The movie definitely has its flaws, but I left the movie with a more positive feeling on it. I enjoyed it a lot, but like you said, it definitely has its own flaws.
Well, let's not immediately launch into the flaws. We're positive guys here at Shark Jump Inc. What was some positives about the movie?
Well, all in all, I loved all the characters, especially Barry Allen, the Flash. He was great in this movie. Aquaman was also really good. And Batman, he wasn't as good as he was in Batman vs Superman, but I still enjoyed him.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, the characters were probably, like, the best part of the movie. You forgot Wonder Woman. And the best part of the movie, J.K. Simmons.
Don't forget Cyborg, who's kinda sorta there.
That's kind of like the general consensus here. Like, everybody was at least like pretty good. Maybe not as good as they were in the other movies. Maybe as good as they were in the other movies. But like Cyborg, he was just kind of there. He was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cyborg was fine. I didn't personally have any problems with him, but he was just, like y'all said, there.
Yeah, he was a plot device. And speaking of plot devices, how do we feel about this plot without getting like too heavy into spoilers?
It was really fine. It wasn't like anything like extravagant or like special. It was okay without getting into like spoilers.
It was really generic.
Yeah.
Is what he means to say.
I feel like that's gonna kind of be like the hallmark of this review is like generic or like basic. You know, like my favorite word for like every movie that ever comes out, as you people who watch Shark Jump know.
But not as generic as The Dark Tower.
Oh God, not as generic as the Dark Tower. Overall, I don't really know if the plot really was important to this movie and to like the whole universe as a whole. Like, I don't know how much what happens in this movie is going to factor into later movies.
Personally for me, I didn't care about the plot going into this movie. I cared about watching Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, all of them teaming up and just beating the crap out of some people.
And for that's what you got for the most part.
Absolutely.
Like, that succeeded. That was the part of the movie that was like one of the highlights.
Correct.
Yeah.
Moving on, like some big news with this movie is that it kind of switched directors like this summer. So like, how did the tone of the movie mesh together with these two like directorial visions?
I don't know, it's really hard to tell where Zack Snyder ends and Joss Whedon begins, because you get the Zack Snyder isms, like the dark, moody visuals and the rock music, but you also get the Whedon-esque dialogue, and it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, there was some of that Whedon-esque dialogue, but like, I don't know, like some of it didn't work, some of it did. Like some of it, I feel like Zack Snyder could have directed, like in order to make it lighter. Some of it could have been stuff that Joss Whedon actually wrote. Another thing I want to talk about though is the action. It was hit and miss. I thought, like there was a scene early in the movie with a whole bunch of Amazons. I'm not gonna go into like deep spoilers with that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I did like that.
There was a scene where it actually opens the movie where Batman like kind of like fights this thug guy. It is cut very poorly, and you don't really know what's going on, and it's not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely noticed the like, and I think it's probably kind of like the Zack Snyder thing, how it's really dark, and so it was hard to notice some of like the action.
Yeah, that scene I talked about with the Amazonians, it was focused around Steppenwolf, the main villain of the movie, who is terrible. I don't think he's a good villain at all. How are you guys on that?
I didn't hate him as much as y'all did, but I definitely didn't like him.
He is a very bad villain. He reminds me of a lot of Malekith from Thor: The Dark World, and just being really boring. However, he is not the worst villain in the DCU, because that's either Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor or the Enchantress.
Yeah, I mean, his plan is really don't say generic. Don't say generic. His plan is really like
boring.
It's unoriginal. It's this basic like take over the world plot. He has this big axe, and that's really his character. Like he's very threatening, and he's CGI, and which doesn't really look good most of the time.
No.
He's not, which kind of leads me into another point. The VFX in this movie, like the visual effects, it's also really hit and miss. Like the action, like
Mhm.
there's some stuff that looks really good, but there's some stuff that doesn't look good.
And this is a $300 million movie, so you should expect a little more than this.
Yeah, I mean, like the environments seem to be like recreated like really well, but like some of the characters, like a lot of the like moving parts, Flash seemed to be like animated pretty well, and like a
Hmm.
lot of like the way his powers work. There's another character that I don't want to get into here. That like does not look very well. I don't think when he like gets into like his fighting and his
Action.
actions. Yeah, there's one thing I want to go off about the VFX. It's a really minor thing, so that's what we're gonna do to end the review. You know, petty
Yeah,
stuff.
just really petty.
So, like Superman's in the movie. I'm not gonna like reveal his extent in the movie. He's in the trailers. Everybody knows he's in the movies and all the cast stuff. And obviously the news coming out is that like he grew a mustache for Mission Impossible 6. Um, so he got his mustache replaced in this movie with VFX, and it is noticeable.
It is. There's a beginning shot where it's supposed to be like a flashback, I guess, and it's recorded like off a phone
On
and
Snapchat or
yeah,
something.
and it looks terrible. I described it to Corey. It looked like he had grown out his mustache and then went and like tanned and then shaved the mustache.
To me, it looked like either one or two things. Like, for one, he had the mustache, and then they kind of like painted over it with like his skin tone, and it still had like the volume of his mustache. Or two, like they removed his mustache, just removed his whole upper lip, and then replaced it with a brand new upper lip. But that's my little petty rant about Superman. It doesn't really matter. With that, we can get our like overall feelings out of the way and get our ratings out there. I'll go ahead and start. Like I said from the beginning, this is a flawed but very enjoyable movie. I think a lot of people are gonna see this movie, and a lot of people are gonna like it. Like the casual audiences are gonna like really kind of eat up this movie. I'm not a casual moviegoer. I'm an asshole. So like I noticed the flaws a lot more, especially with the editing and the directing and like the plot points and everything. But overall, movies are supposed to be enjoyed and movies are supposed to be fun. So I'm like right on the line here, and I'm gonna go like an even 7.
I'd have to agree somewhat similarly. I know I talked a lot of crap about this movie, but overall, it's still an entertaining time at the movies, and it's not terribly long. But the flaws are pretty noticeable, whether it be visual effects or tone. But the cast is still likable, especially Ezra Miller, especially Gal Gadot, the ones I mainly want to point out. Jason Momoa and Ray Fisher are also quite good. Overall, it's an entertaining but very flawed movie. It's worse than Wonder Woman, but it's much better than the other DCU movies, about on par with Man of Steel. I'd give it a 6.8.
And this movie actually it kind of met my expectations. I didn't expect anything great from it because other than Wonder Woman, we haven't had a honestly good like DC movie. But so I was going in like basically expecting what I got, and so I'm right at about an even 8.
So a 6.8, 7, and an 8. Those are some interesting reviews, guys. Well, two that I imagine, one interesting at least. But yeah, that'll wrap us up for today. Please, if you like this content, like, subscribe, check out all of our other videos. We have like some interesting videos up right now. The Forgotten video I did about a movie called Promised Land.
Shark Jump Arcade.
Shark Jump Arcade has started back up with a review of Super Mario Odyssey, and then just all of our other regular programming like Knockout and Jump the Shark. But besides that, that'll wrap us up on our Justice League review today. And as always, you're watching Shark Jumping.